many people will recognise you, but I wonder if you could just introduce yourself, and particularly a little bit about what you've done with this game, just as an introduction.
Okay, my name's Todd McFarlane, and I started my career in comic books, did a little bit of Hulk and Spider-Man, created a character called Spawn, started my own toy company, done a little bit of movies and TV and music directing, and been involved a little bit in video games, but never in a big way like I am with Reckoning. So I'm the executive sort of art director, which basically means when Kurt Schillen, who started the company, came up with the idea, he needed some people to help get it off the ground and to sort of help guide some of it. And he hired R.A. Salvatore to come in, write this big, long, expansive story. Eventually Ken Ralston came in and sort of bring sort of the game questing sort of mentality. And then I was just there as the visual guy, right, the artist. So my task was, Kurt, I just don't want to look over concept designs. I want to be the guy who signs off and looks at all of it. And just so we understand what art is, basically everything you see on that screen. So that's color, characters, models, background, buildings, sound effects, music, spell casting. You see it. If it's there, I want to have been able to go, yeah, cool, and sign off on it. Why? Because the experience of a video game, the whole is way better than the parts, right? So if the animation's good but the backgrounds are terrible, it's a distraction. And if the background's good and the characters are good but the music is irritating, it's a distraction. It's all a distraction, right? So it's not unlike making a movie where the moment you get people to sort of stop and think about the movie, you break the magic in it. So for me, I just go, hold a sec. There's all these elements, and at the end, we just want to make, if we do our job right, Reckoning should just be kind of cooler than some of the other RPG games. And if they walk away with that experience, then all of this, we did our job right.
Sure. Okay, great, good. You've already mentioned your sort of polymath type past experience across different types of medium and in different capacities.
Right.
I wonder if you can speak a little bit about the difference with working on Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning in terms of the challenges that maybe you hadn't faced before and how you kind of approach those a little bit.
Sort of the biggest challenge that arguably I never had to do before was involved with a group of people, was create a world, right? Going, Todd, here's a blank canvas, go create. I mean, I've created stories,
sure.
and in movies you got 2 hours, so you're not globe trotting, so you keep it fairly tight. But the biggest task, the most daunting task in front of us is how do you create an entire world that, not that we can't come up with buildings, we'll come up with buildings, but there's enough variety in there that we can't come up with environment, because we can come up with a variety of them. Not that we can't come up with action, there's a variety of them, but that somehow you've got enough of all of these elements that need to be in a game, such that when we're done with it, unlike my comic books, unlike a TV show, unlike a movie or directed music video, where I get total control over the story. You follow my lead. I tell it, you follow. This one, we build, we do all these components, and then we take the steering wheel and we give it to you. And we go, you're the director, you steer it wherever you want, you go and play it any way you see fit. That's the fun of video games and RPG games. But, and here's the difficult part, but knowing that you can go anywhere, anytime, any place, and that the way you play may be completely different than one of your viewers may play, there has to be enough substance there that you are satisfied and they're satisfied and nobody is frustrated, right? We'll find out whether we succeeded in all of it. I'm sure we'll be stronger in some areas and weaker in a couple others, but overall, you have to be fairly strong in all those areas, so that no matter how somebody wants to play, if you want to be grim and dark and gritty, go to the dark places. If you want to have some lightness in your life and some fun and humor, go to the light place. We've got the wide spectrum. There just has to be enough for everybody to fulfill whatever fantasy they're looking for in the game.
Of course. Okay, great. I mean, a lot of people have already highlighted the variety and the kind of detail that's already in the game from what's been seen, and you've got a pretty expansive game world, but also a pretty big back history as well. Salvatore's put together. I wonder how you felt because of the scale of this project and all the different kind of things you're trying to represent, managing the kind of the people who would realise your artistic vision and deliver on that for you. I think people would be interested to find out a little bit around the mechanics of that. So was it something where you were kind of over their shoulder all the time? Were there regular reports? Were you giving them kind of, this is my mission briefing?
Kind of yes to all of the above.
Okay.
But let me see if I can get a little more specific about it. My task, as I told them, was I don't want anybody in this room to draw like me or to make it look like my artwork. So any hardcore Todd McFarlane fan would be completely frustrated at the look of the game, right? That wasn't the task, because I've said before, on a global sense, there's that many McFarlane fans and there's this many video game players. And I was way more concerned about this than this, right? Okay. So we needed to make an expansive game. Within the confines of video games, there's a comfort level that people have. We needed to stay within that comfort level in terms of the look. Yeah. So I wasn't going to design something and say, oh, it only makes sense if you know who I am. That would be completely, egotistical of me. What we wanted to do was just make a hell of an RPG game. So what my rules are, the thing that I looked over the shoulder, the thing that I did is we were having conferences, and again with video conferencing, I can talk to any group, anytime, anywhere, any place. They're just rules of clarity, clean art, and storytelling. And so to me, I'm going, look at it. If you're gonna build an environment that is mostly green, I get it. I understand if you want to do something that's monochromatic. But just so you understand, the range of monochromatic green goes from black then to dark green, and it starts to go through all the shades to white. And some of the people don't understand it, think it's light green to dark green. There's too much green in it. You have to have extremes to separate all the degrees of green. So I go, I'm not here to tell you you can't have a green environment. I'm just telling you, if you're going to have a green environment, then it better be as clear to my eye as possible. So when I turn, I'm not going, is that 2 trees or 3 trees? Yeah. Is that a building, or is that? I mean, it had to be that quick, and we've got some of that's in there. And then when you're laying those pieces, then whether it's all green or whether it's a village, then we have what I call sort of foreground, midground, background, and there needs to be a clarity of each one of those, because if you're blurring the depth of what you're looking at, then instead of making it seem deep to the player, it's going to flatten. Instead of it being apart, going, wow, that looks like that's 100 miles away, that mountain range. If it looks like it's the same color as something in the foreground, it's going to come and it's going to squish it. So now all of a sudden you've got flatness, and it's like somebody did something at a Broadway play and they painted it or something like that. So all we can do is create the illusion on the screen of that depth. So let's push it as far as we can. So we had silly conversations about fogging, which is not something you guys need to be sort of interested in. But fogging is the thing that, if you look at a range of mountains or buildings or anything, I'll just stay with mountain. The further a mountain gets away, the less black is in it. It gets bluer. So to our eye, because we just intuitively know that, the ones that are closer got a lot of black, a little bit of gray, and then it's blue. Those ones are 10 miles away. We just know because of the color of it that they're 10 miles away. We have to apply some of the rules that are in our life to this fantasy that they're about to play, because it still has to make sense in the way that they're moving around. We can't invent light. We can't invent how things reflect shadow. We can't do any of that. So we would have these goofy conversations that became sort of, some of them, the Todd rules. And the Todd rules, like I said, were not about how an elf looks. Right. It was more about clarity and simplicity and easy reads with the eye, and that when people were moving around, that we, even the way that we place things in here, I didn't want there to be a lot of straight running. I wanted there to be a lot of weaving, because perspectives change when you do that. So all of a sudden the canopy of a tree will move, and this comes shoveling in, and if things are moving on screen, it seems like there's lots of animation. Right? So you're always tricking the eye. So if we can give you a good experience, then I guess we'll have accomplished our job. I will have accomplished mine.
Fantastic, no, that's brilliant. From what you've said, and obviously from what we know about Todd McFarlane in the past, you've clearly brought this really artistic, pure expertise to the industry, and obviously to this game particularly. And that's probably, I hope, and I would imagine it has opened the eyes of some of the other artistic people on there, and it's certainly leading to some fantastic end products. So you're kind of championing the feel, the visual feel, and also the audio, but the environment and the world and stuff.
Right.
How's it been working with other people that have been in charge of other elements? So R.A. Salvatore with the kind of the lore and background, Ken Ralston with the kind of the mechanics and the feel of the combat and things like that. How's that worked with that dynamic? We've got these three big figureheads, and it's a fascinating situation.
Well, look at. Here's what I know: is that if everybody does their job right and they actually know their skill set, you can have the goalkeeper. You can have your forward, you can have your midfield, and you can have your defense. So as long as everybody knows where their skill is, then we're okay. So under no circumstance am I going to tell R.A. how to write a novel. He's not going to tell me how to draw, do artwork, and Ken's not going to, and I'm not going to tell Ken how to make the quest and the adventure deeper. We each sort of knew what it was that we had to do, and we just sort of passed it along, to the next guy until we got to our goal, to use football as the vernacular, and sit there. So it's interesting because people think that we were going to have ego clashes. It was quite the opposite. Maybe if Kurt Schillen, who started, the founder of the company, had hired 4 novelists or 4 artists, maybe there would have been a little more. But he didn't. He was very smart of going, I need somebody in that position, and that position. He put us in different positions, so there wasn't a lot of overlap. Now, to the beginning of your conversation, the fun that I have now is not saying artists be like Todd. It's actually the opposite. My job is to inspire them, to give them, to get them fired up, to draw on the board a couple of sort of elementary ideas, and then watch 22-year-old terrific artists go crazy and come back with stuff that I got to tell you I would never have designed in my own brain, and I think I'm pretty good. But we have a lot of talent working on this game. You just go, wow. I mean, we get a lot of stuff that I go, that's way better than I could ever do.
I'm sure that's not true.
It's true. It's true. God bless, they're working for me, not the other way around. So.
Last question.
Okay. Right. So, in summation around Kingdom of Amalur: The Reckoning, what can you say to people that maybe don't know too much about it in general, that might tempt them to come and play it, and what's kind of your favourite part of it? What can they really look forward to a little bit?
Well, look, if you're, it's an RPG game. So if you're looking for a big, giant adventure, it's here. And if within the confines of that big, giant adventure, you're looking for characters of all size, shape, creed, and color, they're there. If you're looking for architecture that will blow your mind, that looks like kings live in it, and then all the way down to places that burrow down where monsters are, with different backdrop, different color palettes, different ways to get there. And oh, by the way, once you discover all these 100 things, you don't even have to sample all of them. It's like going to a video smorgasbord. We have built all this food, all this visual. You play the game you want. Put only on your plate exactly what you want. And if you don't enjoy the game, we think we've actually added all the elements. There's almost every kind of sampling of food that's in this buffet. If you can't find something to eat to satisfy your appetite, that arguably isn't our fault. That's your fault. You just don't know what it is that you like, because it's in the recipe someplace.
Good, excellent. Thank you very much for your time, and it looks like it's going to be a huge success, and it's a pleasure to see it develop.
Well, we're hoping to get out of the box, and people are asking for more after that.
There's no problem with that. Thank you very much.
All right,
Real
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Thanks for your time.